everyone. Welcome to the third and final part of Ask the King for September 2016. Wow, that came out of nowhere. I had not an inkling that I had to belch until I started talking. Isn't that just delightful? Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, if you haven't watched the first two parts, please do so. It looks like it's going to be a three-parter this month. Reminder, the next episode will be on Thanksgiving Day, which is November 24th, 2016. Please submit your questions on the kingofhate.com forums. The thread is already there for you to post them up right now ahead of time. You can get a head start, all right? And anything that happens in the next 2 months, oh man, with all the games coming out and stuff, there's going to be a lot of questions, I get the feeling, built up for Thanksgiving, so I'm excited for that. Also, remember, if you do pledge $20 or more to my Patreon, you will get your question answered for sure. So check that out right over here, the link you can see in the corner there. But before we get started with the final questions, I do want to say thank you to the following patrons. These are all the patrons who pledged $10 or more in the months of July, August, and or the upcoming, September for 2016. So thank you to the following people: Brightside Viking, Vin Giorgio, Hassan Kali, AV, Blaine Mayo, Chelsea 1973, Chaotic Deluge, Sam Benson, Kazi, Cody Carls, Alexander Helm, Sammy Samosa, Tom Dooley, Erwin Hames, Mike Hunt 2018, The Dead Cry, Fred, Jon Snow, The Knight of the North, Logan Shannon, Last Rambo 341, Jesus with Lightsabers, QPZMWN, Papa Neeks, Hank Duma, The Fire Rises, Faith in 13, Aaron Carpenter, Matthew Capers, Atlas Telemon, Thomas McDonald, Jacob Hendricks, Joe Wiltshire, The Hidden Boss, Michael Deneal, I probably completely said that wrong, Saint Jimmy, Sean Bedford, Kiernan Milburn, Planet Jeff, Christine Gebhardt, Daniel Scharf, Peanut Brother, that's a good one, Casey Wood, Justin Lango, Ellis Score, Elysian, I already said Jesus with Lightsabers, apparently I put him down here twice, Joseph Mento, and hold on, I'm going to get this one right. Abdulrahman Althani. I did it! I thought I was never going to be able to read that. I actually read the name correctly. Now I can't say it again. All right. Let's finish this episode up strong with some fun questions. We'll finish up the forum questions, and then we'll head on to Twitter. All right. Next question is from MDCFan101. And he says, Phil, have you ever wished that you had kept your old job? Well, let's talk. First of all, I don't even like that phrasing, honestly. If you wish you kept your old job, I didn't quit my old job. I didn't leave it. I got laid off in an industry that, quite frankly, has tanked since I got laid off. For those of you who don't know, I used to work for a company that, I guess at this point I could tell you what fucking company it was, right? I don't know if I've ever actually mentioned it definitively. It was called Helicopter Support. It was a company that was owned by Sikorsky Aircraft. This was a company heavily into helicopters in particular, and my job was aftermarket support, meaning a corporation or person would buy a helicopter. We would be the company you go to after you bought it in order to get replacement parts, to get it repaired, all this kind of stuff, okay? So, when I worked there, I had a wide variety of responsibilities. When I started off, I was just customer support, and I would deal with getting parts in the door. I would talk to these customers and corporations, logistically organize to get parts coming to our facility, get sorted once they hit our facility, get to the proper repair shop, wherever it could be throughout the world, get the part repaired, come get it back, get a quote the customer or whatever, get the payment for it, and then ship the part back to the customer. That was basically my job. I was the one-stop shop, because if not, think about this, you buy a helicopter, but the parts are made all over the world, so now you got to deal with 400 different fucking facilities on getting all the parts for your helicopter. No, you want to deal with one company, right? So that's what we did. We were kind of the middleman. We had the know-how, the technical know-how to know how to do all this stuff. Then, over the course that I worked there, they decided to change my job a million times, even though they never changed my job title. They always just called me a customer service rep. But I did continuous improvement work. I completely revamped their entire system of how to get the parts in. I did all the behind-the-scenes work. I completely changed the whole process line of how parts came in and quoting system and all the internal. I worked with IT to design a totally new system for them so that they could have new visuals and stuff here on their screen, a whole new interface of screens and stuff to work with. And I did all this stuff and then they laid me off. So basically, the work I was doing, I should have been paid double because I was doing the work of like a high level design continuous improvement person, but they weren't paying me for it. They never gave me the job title for doing it, and then they fucking got rid of me after I did the job that they used for years after that. This new system that I basically worked with them to design, they fucking got rid of me after that. What a great company, right? But guess what? That company is going out of business. In fact, helicopter support is all but a shell of itself. There's like a skeleton crew of people who still work there compared to when I worked there. Most people have moved on or they're gone. Their jobs were eliminated. Most of that work's been outsourced overseas now. And Sikorsky as a whole is failing as a company. They actually, I believe, just got bought out by, I think it's Lockheed Martin, the other who's to be their competitor. And they're basically going into the tubes because the management sucks monkey shit. So, wow, right? Like, what a difference. If I had stayed with that company, I actually would be fucked. I would be completely fucked if I had invested my future in working at this helicopter support or even Sikorsky aircraft, because the whole company is basically being bought out and liquidated. Wow. So, it's funny how things happen for a reason, right? But would I ever wish that I kept my old job? In a lot of ways, the old job was nice because I felt, at least at the time, from everything I was being told by my management, I had job security. I was doing a great job. I actually got a fucking a commendation, an actual plaque for going above and beyond the Call of Duty. Right before I got laid off, 2 months before I got laid off, I got this plaque. Unreal, right? So, if I was able to stay there, I would have felt like I had job security. I was getting a paid salary, so I knew exactly what I was making. With YouTube, it fluctuates, and I have no idea what I'm going to be making month to month. At least when I worked there, I knew what I was going to make month to month, right? Healthcare was dramatically better when I worked for them because it was a corporate healthcare plan where most of anything that I got sick or whatever was covered. And yes, every once in a while I'd have to pay a little bit or whatever, but for the most part, my healthcare was really good. I actually remember complaining because when my back injury, when I first got it diagnosed, that year I had injections into my spine, I had physical therapy, and I had to pay like $1,300 out of my pocket before my healthcare picked up and said, oh, well, we'll cover the rest. And I complained about that. Guess what it is now for my individual healthcare plan that I have now because I'm self-employed? $5,000. Like, I'm just going to find $5,000 in the fucking sky somewhere to pay medical bills before the health insurance will start covering shit. So what's the point of fucking health insurance in America? The answer is none. But, yeah, a lot of stuff was, you have a physical location you go to every day. You actually get to meet people there, and I actually had a social aspect with a lot of people at work. That was nice. But at the same time, there's a lot of things about that office job that suck. Like I said, I had to go work for a boss who a lot of times the boss wouldn't appreciate you or what you do, or you were basically overworked and underpaid. You know, having to adhere to a schedule and physically be in an office and drive, the commute back and forth was annoying. I would say this. As much as there were positives to having this office job for the 4.5 years that I had it, I much rather would be my own boss, do my own creative thing, make my own schedule, you know what I mean? Like right now, even with all the financial hardships that I've come up across in the past couple of years, what I'm doing now is far more fulfilling, it's far more fun, and I have more control over it than anything that I've ever done in the past. And no, if I can help it, I would not actively go back to that kind of life if I could. Now, I don't know, you know, if things change and tomorrow YouTube could completely fuck up and then I can't do any of this stuff anymore. But I would like to do this as long as I possibly can. All right. Next question. This one is from The Showstopper. And he says, hey, Phil, I'm a longtime fan ever since you played WWE 2K12. Wow. Holy shit. Actually, it wasn't 2K back then. It was just WWE 12. That was before 2K did it. It was THQ. I have a question for you. Almost immediately after you moved in 2014, you got hamsters as pets, and you seem to enjoy them as pets. Now, we all know that hamsters, unfortunately, don't have a very long life expectancy. However, are you and Leanna planning to get another pet in the future? Well, we already talked about it, and we said we would like another pet. We don't know what it's going to be. We do realize that right now, by the way, the hamsters are getting old. We even noticed it. I don't mention this much. This is the first time I'm really publicly talking about it, but the hamsters do not get around how they used to. Yeah, I can tell one of the hamsters, Raisin, has some problems, probably in her lower back where she has pain and she can't really move like she used to. Cinnamon, the other hamster, wheezes. When she breathes, you can hear this little meep, meep, like wheeze in her lung. I think she has something wrong with one of her lungs. But the thing is, they've exceeded the life expectancy of hamsters. That kind of hamster, the dwarf Jungarian hamster, is only supposed to live maximum 2 years, and we've had them since June of 2014. So they've been over the maximum life expectancy of hamsters. So every additional day we freaking have with them is like a blessing. We're like, damn, they're still pretty damn good for older hamsters. There's no major medical issues. We never had a problem. And yes, we do realize that probably pretty soon we're going to have to say goodbye. It's just an inevitability of life, right? So, we talked about it. What kind of pet would we like to get? And at one point we were talking about a rabbit. I don't think we should do a rabbit because rabbits pretty much kind of like hamsters. It's not a pet that you can really physically do too much with. Yes, you can pet it and you can let it run around a little bit, but rabbits can be noisy. They can be smelly too. And I had rabbits when I was a kid and they were all right. I don't think I want a rabbit. We talked about maybe just getting more hamsters or similar pets to hamsters. But we also talked about a dog, seriously. Leanna wants a dog badly. Listen, when she lived with her mom, the entire time, her whole life, she had a dog. There was always a dog in her life, and it's been a big change for her since she moved out here with me to not have a dog in the equation, all right? And we've been talking about different kinds of dogs. We want one that doesn't shed too much because that would be too much work to clean the whole house covered in freaking dog hair. But we said, well, maybe a smaller dog, but then we realized a smaller dog probably can't get up and down our staircase. So all these things we've been talking about. The bottom line is this, though. We can't get a dog right now because our lifestyle is not one of that would be good for a dog. A dog needs attention, right? Especially when it's a new dog and the dog needs to get adjusted to a new environment. It needs attention. And right now, for, long spurts of the day, 3-4 hours, I'm in my office with the door closed, streaming or whatever. She's at work. She has jobs. So, what's going to happen? We get a dog, but it's time for me to stream. She's at work. Now the dog's going to tear the house apart while the door's closed here because it feels like it wants attention. It's being ignored or whatever. We actually talked about maybe eventually getting an older dog, like a dog in the middle of its life cycle. So that way the dog has adult tendencies. It's potty trained. It'll be able to behave and not go nuts when we're not around. It's something we're considering. It's certainly not anything, especially now we want to do anywhere in the near future, simply because... excuse me. Whew, he's burping. I don't know what's going on. Financial concerns, when we have financial concerns, and the main thing that we want to do before we do anything else is to go to California together because we've been wanting to do it for years. That's like our main focus. Maybe after the California trip, we'll start looking into maybe if we want to do something like that. All right. But now we are considering more pets in the future, maybe a dog, but not decided yet. Okay. Next question is from Escanor. He says, greetings, Phil. I'd like to ask a question regarding The Legend of Zelda. With The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild coming out around spring of next year, do you think that a playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time can happen before then? Good question. And I've actually talked with my viewers about this over the years. I think the best version of Ocarina of Time was when they re-released it for the Nintendo. I think it was the 3DS, like one of the first games for the 3DS. Then it might not have been. Maybe it was just the DS. I'm not sure. I certainly would like to play it. Ocarina of Time was a game that I bought on Nintendo 64 and did not like at the time because I was used to the top-down version of Zelda, and I felt that bringing it into the 3D era wasn't as good as the top-down 2D stuff. Of course, since then, now I've played many of the 3D Zeldas and really liked them, so I probably would enjoy it a lot more today. And yeah, it should be said that, I heard Breath of the Wild is it in the same timeline as the Ocarina games? So maybe I should try to play it before then, but the question is when, because right now the rest of the year is crazy busy with new releases, and maybe January, I guess that would be good. Let's play it by ear. If in January it's slow and there's not a lot going on, let's tentatively say January of 2017, I will actively try to play Ocarina of Time, and if I don't remember that, someone should remind me in January, all right? Okay. The final question from the forums, from Fallen One Gaming. He says, hey Phil, I noticed that when I was watching some of your older playthroughs, that when you played Resident Evil 2 a few years ago, you never streamed the B scenarios of the game. Did you play the B scenarios for either character, and do you have any plans to do a Resident Evil 2 B scenario stream in the future during downtime? Well, here's the deal. Resident Evil 2 had 2 characters. I played 1 scenario for each character. You're right, I never went back, because the bottom line is, once you play through it once, there's not going to be that much demand for you to do the same game again. And after going through it with each character and seeing each side of the story, I basically judged and said, that's enough for now, okay? Is it out of the question that I'll ever go back and do the B-sides? No, but Resident Evil 2 is getting remade by Capcom. We don't know when, but they're remaking the whole game from the ground up, similar to what they did with Resident Evil 1. So more than likely, I'd rather wait for that. You know, why replay the original when I already know there's going to be a remake? The last thing I would want to do is, oh, I'm going to do it, and I play it, and then 6 months later, they announce the remake's coming out, and I'm like, oh, damn, I just played it, you know? So I think I'm just going to wait for the redone version. There you go. Now, there was one common question amongst many people, both on Twitter and the forums, that I want to address. The common question was, Phil, have you made a definitive decision on if you're going to be playing Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and or the Modern Warfare 1 remake that's coming out in early November? Because I've been on the fence about this all year. I've been saying I may not play it, and some people seem to be up in arms about that. But Phil, you play Call of Duty every year, all right? But here's the deal. Here's what I've seen over the years. When I first started playing Call of Duty, Modern Warfare in particular, it was Modern Warfare 2, I believe, was the first one that I played on YouTube. It was incredibly hype. It was one of the biggest mainstream releases of the year. People were dying to see people play it, and being that I did it in a different method than most other people that did playthroughs at the time, people loved my take on the games. Now, over the years, we've had games like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1 through fucking 3, right? Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Ghosts. I think there's probably even more, right? Wasn't there another one too that I'm forgetting? There might be. So you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 7 Call of Duty games or so that I've played for YouTube. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a big investment for a yearly thing. You know what I mean? I'm actually very happy this year there's no Assassin's Creed game. Finally, for the first time since Assassin's Creed fucking 2, there's no new Assassin's Creed game. So we get a breath of fresh air rather than Assassin's Creed every single year. And honestly, not to say that this year, for example, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 wasn't a terrible game, but it wasn't a great game either. You know what I mean? Like, it was fun to do. I did co-op with Coruchado and the Area Lord, and it was fun to do that. But it wasn't like, wow, if I had skipped that, it wouldn't have been like I missed out on anything. The zombies, however, I really enjoyed doing the zombies over the course of the year. And so that was fun to do. Infinite Warfare just looks like shit, man. It does. It just looks so bad. It just doesn't look like they tried. Honestly, it looks to me like what they realize now is the only people who are still buying this game every year are the same addicted people who want to see flashy shit, right? They want us, and they want all the gimmicks. We want drones, we want kill streaks, we don't want anything legitimate. And you watch the multiplayer trailer for the game, and it's a joke. It's double jump and wall running while summoning drones and doing stupid shit that isn't supposed to be in a fucking serious first-person shooter. And then you see the single-player campaign. We're Marines in space. We shoot people while floating and there's noise even though you're in a vacuum and it doesn't make any sense. It looks like shit. I'm sorry, it does. This game just looks like shit. There's not one redeeming quality about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare that I've seen. I just cannot be so. The zombies mode has break dancing fucking zombies. There's neon colors and confetti. It looks like shit. Now, you may be saying, but what about Modern Warfare's remake? Modern Warfare, people still to this day say it's the best, first-person shooter of the modern first-person shooter generation, and no other games hold a candle to it. Are you going to be getting this remastered version because everyone wants to see it? Not if I have to buy Infinite Warfare. I refuse to be extorted, which is what it is. It's extortion. Give us $60 for shit so that you can pay an additional $20 to get something that you know is good. No, I am not going to be robbed by Activision and Infinity Ward or anyone else. I'm not going to buy a game I don't fucking think is up to par. And it doesn't. Infinite Warfare looks like fucking duty. It looks like stinky fucking duty that's being trampled all apart across all the other gaming landscape. And I've just had enough. I think this is the year that's it for Call of Duty for me. Now, I might come back to it Eventually, especially with Treyarch. I like the Treyarch Call of Duty games. Don't get me wrong, I like them a lot. Or maybe next year, whatever the Call of Duty is coming out next year, maybe it'll be something different and refreshing. You know, like Battlefield this year, Battlefield 1, a throwback game, that got my interest, right? But I just can't do it. I can't, as a gamer, I can't consciously live with myself if I give these fuckers $60 for that fucking piece of shit. I can't do it. And I know a lot of people are going to have issue with that. Man, you cover it every year. I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm sorry. To those of you who actually do tune in every year to watch me play Call of Duty, I apologize in advance. But the bottom line is, this is the truth too. Way fewer people. In fact, if you look, last year almost no one showed up. When I was doing Call of Duty co-op, the streams had low attendance. The videos didn't get a lot of views. Even the zombie co-op that I did this year didn't really take off. So if anything, what that's telling me, at least amongst my viewer base, people are done with Call of Duty. They're just tired of the same shit. And I agree. That's why I'm not getting Infinite Warfare this year. In a couple years, maybe things will change. Maybe it'll be refreshed or improved. If the new Treyarch game in a couple years has new zombies, I'm all on it. I'm not giving them my money. I'm not doing it. I refuse. If they do sell the Modern Warfare 1 remaster by itself eventually, yes, I will get it. But I am not going to buy a piece of shit in order to get the golden nugget out. That's like, just think of it this way. There's a golden nugget hidden in a giant 2-foot-tall stack of dog shit. Are you going to put your hands into the dog shit to find the golden nugget and pull it out? Because you're still going to be covered in dog shit when you're done for that little golden nugget of enjoyment. And for me, I'm staying away from the dog shit this year. All right. That's a great analogy. All right, and now we've got Twitter questions, and that's this. So let's do it. Let's wrap this up. From Mansville2711. He says, hey, Phil, since the brand split, which show of WWE wrestling are you watching, and which is better, Raw or SmackDown? Well, the answer is I'm watching both every week. I've actually seen every episode of Raw and SmackDown since they went live and they did the brand split. It's hard. Here, let me explain. It seems to me that they think SmackDown is still the B show. And what I mean by that is a lot of the more developmental people seem to be going to SmackDown. You know, they brought back the Headbangers as a tag team. They're on SmackDown. They brought American Alpha in from NXT as a tag team. Put them on SmackDown. You know, even Becky Lynch is the women's champion of SmackDown, but it's the first title she's ever held. It's her first title run versus Charlotte has been the women's champion for a year, so she's on Raw. Get it? You see what I mean? But the flip side of that is that it seems like on Raw, they're actually giving other people legitimate chances to run with it. Like, you know, you had Seth Rollins, you had Roman Reigns, groan. Yes, I know. It was Dean Ambrose until he was traded to SmackDown, and now it's Kevin Owens. They're actually giving the top spots to different people on Raw rather than the same fucking people. You know, it seems like those same fucking people, the John Cenas, the Randy Ortons, they're also on SmackDown. So I like Raw because Raw seems to be like a place where they might be doing something fresh and different. Okay, so I like that about it. SmackDown seems like it's more in line with the traditional WWE formula. On the flip side of that, a lot of the stuff on SmackDown is pretty good. Like the women's stuff, I think I actually like the women's wrestling, honestly, on SmackDown better than on Raw right now. You got some fresh talents who are getting pushes and stuff. You've got the champion is AJ fucking Styles, which, I mean, holy shit, has he ever deserved a title run in WWE? Yes, and now he's there and he's getting his fucking title run, which is awesome. He got a clean win over John Cena, which was freaking cool. So, right now, I honestly, a lot of people have these such opinionated things about wrestling. I think I'm kind of still in kind of a phase where I can't say I like one over the other. It's a weird kind of a phase where I think they're trying to hash out what the shows are going to be for the next few months. Probably, I'd say by WrestleMania of next year, we'll finally know what their intentions are for these shows, and we'll go from there. But for now, it doesn't matter because both shows' ratings suck monkey shit because Monday Night Football and the debates and all this stuff is completely destroying WWE. They're getting like no ratings, so it doesn't even matter. All right, next question. This one is from Super Snow 15. What inspired you to wait a minute? I pulled the wrong question. I didn't want this question. Oh shit. Well, I guess I might as well answer it. This is kind of a generic question. I didn't want this question. I think there was a question above it, and I grabbed the wrong one off of Twitter. Ah. Well, anyway, from Supersnow15, what inspired you most to start on YouTube, and what game series do you treasure above all others? Nothing inspired me to start YouTube, in particular. For me, it was kind of a joke. It was like, gee, I see that YouTube is used for all kinds of gaming stuff. I'm just going to play games, not even playthroughs. I'm just going to do highlight videos of things that annoy me in games and comment over them. Now, I was inspired by people like the Angry Video Game Nerd and the Nostalgia Critic to see that I could make videos on the internet and maybe get some popularity. I was like, man, if these guys could take their shoestring budgets and just use their talent to make entertaining videos and become popular, maybe I could do it too. And it worked. Which, you know, wow. So I was kind of inspired by them. But nothing in particular inspired me to make the kind of video that I made for YouTube, the raw gameplay with commentary. I just did it. I'd never even seen another person do it before. In fact, the only other videos that I'd watched on YouTube of gaming were walkthrough videos where there was no dialogue at all. It was just people just playing the games, you know, raw video with no commentary. So for me, it was doing a completely off-the-cuff original, and the rest is history. What game series do I treasure above all others? I used to say Street Fighter, but now I'm so disappointed with Street Fighter 5. You know, I don't even know if that game series is ever going to go back to the greatness that it once was. So, I don't know. Is there a quintessential game series? Some people would probably say, oh, Zelda or Mario. Some people would say Halo, you know, or Call of Duty. Fuck that, Call of Duty. I don't know. Is there really one game series that I treasure above everything else? Maybe not. I think now I've become such a diversified gamer with the amount of stuff and the variety of stuff that I play that there's not one game you can put your finger on and say, that's the game that Phil's great at and he loves it the most. I don't think so. Next question is from Dark Zero Night. It says, hey Phil, do you have any tips on how to lose weight or how to start losing weight? And what kind of diet should you have? The best advice I could tell you is this: moderation. Because the bottom line is, you can't become massively overweight if you're moderate in everything you do. If you go and have that greasy fast food meal, that's fine. Just for the rest of the week, don't eat the greasy fast food meal. For me, my problem is I've never had the capability to have the variety of foods that would keep me healthy. So when I lived with my parents, I had to eat whatever my mom was making. When I lived by myself, I wasn't a good cook, so I had to get fast food all the time, right? Right now, I'm actually eating the healthiest that I've ever eaten. Right now, I'm not even kidding you. Leanna is downstairs preparing dinner. It's going to be 2 pork chops, 1 for each of us, some roasted potatoes in the oven, and some broccoli. That's dinner. Now, me cooking that for myself would take like over an hour of work for what? You know, for a meal that's for 1. For 2 people, it makes sense. And by the way, I'm a terrible cook, so I wouldn't even be able to probably make it that well. It would probably be terrible when I made it. So I didn't do that kind of stuff when I lived alone. I would constantly be going out and getting fast food and stuff. That lifestyle's terrible for you. You know, it's about, if we're going to go out, once a week we go out and get fast food, and once a week we go out to a restaurant to eat. And then the rest of the week, the other 5 days, it's all home-cooked meals that are healthy and balanced. So that's the lifestyle you need to have, is have that balance. If you're going to have the 1 or 2 cheat days, you got to have the rest of the week be really good and healthy. You can snack, but snack healthy. I used to snack on terrible stuff like chips and stuff. Now I have like trail mix. Or, you know, piece of fruit. We eat fruit, blueberries, strawberries, juice and water instead of soda, right? Little things, little tweaks, and eating in moderation can do you wonders. A lot of people just like to say it's about exercise. Wrong. Exercise is a part of it, but you can still be perfectly healthy without doing any kind of exerting exercise if you have the right kind of diet and you're moderate in what you eat. There you go. That's my advice. From Mitlaufer88. Says, is there a modern franchise or game that you genuinely like and play privately or replay after having streamed it as well? The only stuff that I play privately, two different things. Mobile games, and right now I'm actually in the middle of a bunch. I've been actually putting pictures up on social media about them. One of them is called Animation Throwdown. It's a combination of characters from Family Guy, American Dad, King of the Hill, Futurama, and Bob's Burgers, all in one game. It's a card game where it's basically you're fighting with cards, okay? I don't want to go any more into it than that, but it's a neat game. It's free, and I've been playing that recently. I play Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, in which it's another game with collectible characters where you do these combat. It's fighting, but it's not active fighting. It's more turn-based fighting. It's hard to explain, honestly. You have to really see it, but it's very popular amongst Dragon Ball fans. I play, oh god, Marvel Comics Future Fight. This is a game that's very similar to Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where you have a team of 3 characters, and you run throughout these maps fighting little minions, and you fight a boss, and you have different abilities. As you tap the screen, it enables abilities, just like in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. You press a button, it would do a different ability for your hero. Your heroes level up, they get more abilities. You can put equipment on them to make them more powerful, just like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It really does feel like the mobile evolution of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is a game series that I really liked. I wish it didn't go away after 2 iterations. That's a game I would have loved to keep playing and do co-op with people, but doesn't exist anymore. So that's a good game. And recently I started playing a game called Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. This is a game that I mentioned much earlier this year. It's not at all what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be an actual, like, full-length RPG, JRPG, that you play on your phone or mobile device. It's not. It's a grinding game. They actually made the gameplay similar to other mobile games where you have energy bar that has to, it's a stamina bar, and you can't play unless it fills up. And when you play, you do like a certain couple of stages. Some of them are just for experience, some are for item collection and evolution of your characters. You summon your characters randomly, and it's a combination of all different characters from Final Fantasy games. Like, I currently have Kefka and Cian or Cyan, I don't know how to pronounce his name, from Final Fantasy VI, but I also have Galuf and Kryl from Final Fantasy V on my team currently, which is pretty cool. It's pretty fun. For longtime fans of the 2D style Final Fantasy JRPGs, you'll probably like it, but it's like they adapted it for mobile phones, so it's just a few minutes at a time rather than you just sitting there hours on length playing a JRPG. So those are the games that I play off camera. Plus, there's one game that I still play. That's right. Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 2. This game came out in February of 2016. I still have it. I still play it. Why? I love playing this game with Leanna. Like, we do co-op. We jump online. We'll play online together, and we'll do stuff just in each other's backyards, challenges and stuff. It's so much fun. This game is great. I've gotten probably more gameplay out of this game than 90% of the games I've played this year, because every couple of weeks we play it again for another session of like 2-3 hours. And I love it. And it's funny because when I played it, people didn't like it. Oh, it's not a good game for YouTube. Fine, I'll just fucking play it myself. It's a great game, and I recommend it for anyone who likes to do co-op style third-person shooter gameplay. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Next question. There's only 2 left, so last 2 questions. From Half Hort, will you ever consider doing a second playthrough of one of the Dark Souls games? Been enjoying your old Demon Souls playthrough. Yes, I would 100% like to go back and play the original Dark Souls. And the reason being is, number one, I have not played it in a million years, so probably a lot of the stuff I've already forgotten about it, alright? Number 2, because I never legitimately beat it. I had my hand held through the whole second half of the game when I came back to it with live streaming in 2013. Since then, I've played games like Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and I think I could actually go back and legitimately do a lot better and beat the game legitimately this time around, without having my hand held. Alright? I think I would like to go back and do it again eventually. When? I don't know. Maybe it could be a big event that Phil returns to Dark Souls, right? And I try to do it legit without being summoning and having people do all the work for me. We'll see in the future. It could be something exciting, all right? Last question. This is it. It's the final question. From Rock Sudtin XD. Oh, God. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. Why is it that games that are exclusives are still running at 30 frames per second instead of 60? Is it because of laziness or system capabilities? I've been talking about this a lot. You know, just yesterday, I played a game by the name of Forza Horizon 3. And I'm playing it, and I'm like, wow, this game looks great. The graphics themselves are great, but it runs at 30 frames. Why the fuck can't a Xbox One exclusive game run at 60 frames per second? I agree. It's bullshit. And I hate to say it, as gamers, we really need to step up and start fucking collectively complaining. Because the bottom line is, everyone has rated Forza Horizon 3 as an outstanding racing game, and it's getting top ratings, and it's getting tons of sales. But it runs at 30 frames per second. And it's like, we need to demand more. we paid top dollar for these gaming consoles when they released 3 years ago, right? We were told that this was going to be the next generation of experiences that were going to be much different than the previous console generation. Full res HD graphics, right? Better performance. And we haven't seen any of this. A lot of these games are downscaled. By the way, Forza Horizon 900p doesn't run at 1080p. It's like, are you kidding me? Now you might say, well, the box was underpowered. How's that my problem? But Microsoft fucked up, not me. They're the ones that promised us this next-gen gaming experience and haven't delivered. So why are you going to yell at me? Oh, you bought an Xbox One, you're expecting 1080p, 60 frames per second. The box isn't powerful enough. And fuck Microsoft then. Same thing with, PS4. By the way, don't think that I'm just insulting Microsoft. Sony is just as fucking guilty. How many games have we played on PS4 over the past few years that are still 30 frames? Why? Why can't these games run at 60 frames per second? It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. There's just no excuse anymore. It's either the game studio is fucking lazy and they just don't want to put in the time development to create a graphical engine that will run nicely at 60 frames per second, or we got gypped with these consoles that just can't do it. And it's like, I completely am in line with that person on Twitter. We should not be paying $60, right, to get a gameplay experience in one game that's different from another. Why is it that right now I could buy racing games that are 60 frames per second, but I buy Forza Horizon 3 and it's 30? Obviously, it could be done. If other game makers did it, it could be fucking done. So why can't you do it? And we need to, as gamers, we need to step up collectively and say, well, listen, if they're not going to live up to the standard as other people, then don't buy that game. That's all I can say. That's all we can do, right? Speak with our dollar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the September 2016 episode of Ask the King. I hope you enjoyed all 3 parts. Keep in mind, November 24th, Thanksgiving 2016, the next episode of Ask the King is launching. And I hope that you will submit your questions on thekingofhate.com. Excuse me. And that is that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. For me, I'm signing off. I'm taking off the cowboy hat for another 2 months. Wow. Look at that marvelous hair. Taking off the cowboy hat for another 2 months until we return for another episode where I answer your questions. If you want to get your question answered for sure, right down there in the corner below where the hat is, Patreon. Thank you, everyone. Peace out. See you next time.